message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep, sticking it to him. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my pockets
That deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose. You see, they told me I'm the one that's gonna benefit. Never been a threat. Talking out of line, but never let me.
All right.
Because the camera caught it this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. The #1 sports betting vibe on the internet. Veterans Minimum. I'm your host, Nick Deis. At Nick Deis 10 as you can find me. The gentleman to my left, my dog,
What is up,
George Carmona. In the building.
brother? I'm starting to. It's button down season. Button down season.
Yeah, we got some nice weather this week.
Yeah.
It's been. I turned on the air conditioning for the first time. I have.
Yeah,
I've been holding out, window open.
Yeah. You don't run the fan. You don't have a fan in the crib.
No, not really.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I usually start cranking the AC to like 68. You know, like I'm willing to sacrifice how high my energy bill is for just personal comfort. Because was it last summer that was your first true summer here in Vegas?
Yep.
Yeah, so you know what's coming up for us. It's a shit show. But it's really good. Here's the best part about this weather. The scenery around the wind. Oh my God. God, thank you. You know? He's amazing. What he does for us on a daily basis, I don't give him enough thanks.
Amen to that.
There we go. We're giving him his thanks now.
Amen to that.
Boom.
Listen, we have a lot to discuss. If you guys haven't checked out the UFC Fallout episode earlier this week, it was part 1 also at the end of the NBA playoff preview from the matchups that we didn't know at the time. For this episode, we have 2 more series that we've now
Locked in.
and we know. So we'll break those down too. At the time that we're recording, the Hawks and the Bulls are playing. And then the winner of that is going to play Miami, who lost to the Sixers, which sets up a New York versus Philly matchup. But we'll get to that. What we're going to start with, sad news? Is this sad news for Jontay Porter?
Yeah, this is as bad of news as you can receive. Yeah. Buddy was not discreet. He is officially #one of us.
Yeah. I mean, you get a lifetime ban. You are confirmed one of us, bro.
It's nuts reading the story back, right? And getting to see like how detailed the analysis was and how quick. You know, like how sometimes these stories come out and it takes a while for like the exact details to come out. Like we know everything.
Bro, I love that you bring that up because I couldn't agree with you more. There are so many times in the past, and I still do this to this day, where being on social media and being a content creator, sometimes you can have something go viral if you capitalize on the conversation at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So when a breaking news happens, when something crazy goes down, a trade, an injury, whatever it might be, immediately people run to their computers or their phones, mostly their phones, and they put out their thoughts.
Right.
I like to wait a couple days, gather info. What is the trade? What are they getting on the back end? What are they getting 3 years from now? What could that pick potentially be? Is it a top 5 pick? There's so much shit that goes into it. And then when the report first came out, and look, man, we got to take an L based on what the reports have been on Ohtani.
Right.
Apparently this interpreter really did steal from him.
Yeah.
So people in the media, people like me that said immediately, like, it kind of feels like a cover up.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take an L for that. So Ohtani, now, could there be more things that are being hidden because he is Ohtani and he just got this big contract? It wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
But based on the evidence that we've been shown, it seems like it was the interpreter. But with Jontay Murray, NBA has given him a lifetime ban for gambling. The league's investigation found that prior to the Raptors' March 20th game, Porter disclosed confidential information about his own health status to an individual he knew to be an NBA bettor. In addition, from January to March of 2024, While traveling with the Raptors, 905 is the name of the team, Raptors NBA G League affiliate, Porter placed at least 13 bets on the NBA using an associate's online betting account. This is super degen, and he's going through.
Yeah, he's going through the channels.
Yeah, he's going through the channels. Bets range in size from $15, which I need to know what the $15 was. Was it like a Max Holloway round 5 prop, 38 to 1 or 30 to 1? Like, what are you betting $15 for? To $22,000. This is the range of the bets for a total of $54,094. The total payouts from these bets were $76,059, resulting in net winnings of $21,965. None of the bets involved any game in which Porter played.
Right.
However, you know how I like to say it'd be your own?
Mhm.
I'll tweet this on social media. It'd be your own. It's always your own, bro.
Yeah.
It's always a loved one. It's always your boy from high school or from kindergarten. Sometimes it could even be your significant other.
Yep.
In this case, someone he trusted, he was in business with, got caught, maybe ratted him out.
Yeah.
Anytime money is involved, shit gets fishy.
Well, are you going to cover the parlay that was put in that really alarmed it off?
Well, that was I was going to get to that, but you want to share that? Tell them about.
I mean, that was the craziest part. It literally made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
The dude put an $80,000 same game parlay in on DraftKings. Insane that you could even do that. Like that type of action on DraftKings without immediate red flags is nuts. But it was set on all of Jontay Porter's unders, and it was slated to win $1.1 million. They were literally trying to recreate Uncut Gems, without a doubt. This is the greatest win ever. And yeah, I mean, it's super obvious. By the way, the part that really made me laugh was DraftKings obviously did not pay it out.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that happens.
They make the rules.
They make the rules, yeah. Well, also, like, you know, if people remember, Porter is the second NBA player since the new millennium to be banned from the league. The first was OJ Mayo, got a 2-year ban. I think it was for it wasn't gambling. But I think it was it marijuana? Yeah, well, PEDs. Sorry.
There we go.
It was
He was
PEDs.
juicing.
Yeah. That's what it was. Got called for PEDs. So this isn't something that the NBA does often. That's why it's like such a significant story. And also, it's a betting story. We're a betting show. And it's big news, man. It's big news. He's the younger brother of Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
Well, he got $100 million, and he's a key contributor to the Nuggets winning a title last year. And, you know, they're one of the favorites to do it again. According to Sport Track, Porter earned $2.3 million over 3 seasons from the Grizzlies. And this year, the Raptors contract, he was on a 2-way contract, $411,000. A career total in the NBA of $2.7 million, which is wild to do this. I get that you're not James Harden, you're not Paul George, you're not these guys making 40, 50.
You're not your brother.
You're not your brother. Yeah. Then it got to be awkward when it's like he's the king of the family, right? Like he's the golden boy.
100%.
When you're making 100 M's and the other one's not.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting here is, man, it sounds crazy to people to understand this, but money earned is not as good as money won. And it'll never be. Like, dude, if you have a job, right? Like, hypothetical. Say you're making 5 G's a month, right? You're having a nice, comfortable living. And you know every month you're going to make 5K. Bro, if we hit the tables and you win 5 G's,
I will lose my mind.
yeah.
Because it's quick math. That's a month worth of work.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit, I don't got to put in 40 plus hours switching and editing and audio and all that shit. Like, that's how I always looked at it, bro. Growing up, I mean, I still kind of do this to this day. But when I would gamble growing up and I was working at the coffee truck and I would make $400 a week and I would have to wake up at 2:30 in the morning and then I wouldn't be home until noon. The whole time I'm on my feet, rain, sleet, snow, 110 degrees with humidity in New York City. I still was out there over the grill and shit and it was whack. But when I would win like $1,200 betting, I'd be like, yo, that's 3 weeks worth of work, bro. That's 3 weeks. I don't gotta fucking
Yeah.
go through it. That was always how I put it into perspective.
I mean, and especially when it's sports. I think sports, hitting that sports betting win is the true quant of it all. Because if I was to hit in blackjack or roulette, which roulette's one of my favorites, that doesn't feel as good as a sports bet because it's not the sweat equity of me sitting on my couch watching games, making accurate predictions. And so I've always viewed it as like it is the second job. You know, hey, sometimes the second job don't be paying me that much. But that means that I need to put a little bit more time and effort into it. But you're 100% right. It is winning at the end of the day. But do you ever think about it as like the second job analogy?
No, because I don't make enough to say it's a second job. What I will say, sometimes I always think of betting sometimes as a loan.
Mm.
I think of it as a loan. It'll come at a point where you kind of need the money, and then maybe you hit a nice bet, and you're like, oh shit, I have that $800 I need. But then what happens to a lot of people, and shit, it's happened to me too, bro, where like that $800 ends up becoming $2,000 I gotta give back with interest over the next maybe 5, 6, 7 weeks, whatever it might be. Because that's how I always view it. Now there are a lot of people, we know them, we've had them on the show that they do it for a living. They're also betting way bigger numbers, and they're betting less games. It's less volume. Like pro bettors might make 3 bets a week, if that. Like legitimate ones.
I mean, I know Crackman makes a lot more than that. But it all just depends on the information that you're given.
Sure.
They don't bet on whims.
Yeah.
They don't bet on, oh, I watched this team and I've analyzed that this is going to happen. No, they know Jontay Porter just had his brother put $80,000 on a 8-leg parlay for his unders. They know that. But you'd be surprised how many micro pieces of information they get, or at least he gets. It's more than you think. And I do think the volume maybe isn't fired at such a high price. I mean, what do you think like a unit size for those guys is?
For like athletes?
Well, for pro bettors.
It depends. I would say it's probably at least 1,000.
Right?
1,000, I think is accurate, right? And then you try to be up 2 units a week. That's $2,000 a week that you're up.
Yeah.
Over 4 weeks, that's 8 G's a month. That's about what? And it was about what, 96?
Yeah.
95,000? Yeah, 96,000 a year. That's a good salary.
Facts.
Yeah.
So what do you think now in athletes?
Oh,
unit
bro,
size?
dude. I mean, listen. I'm not a snitch.
Yeah.
But we have seen a very prominent wide receiver. I would say a top 6 wide receiver in the league, who is already talking about contract issues, and I've seen him on the roulette tables, high rollers, every single time he's been in Vegas.
You got to use your context clues, people.
And you know, the high roller table here at the Win is 100 G's to sit and play. That's not per spin or anything.
No,
but
they
it's
wouldn't
like,
let you do that.
for you to sit at those tables, it's 100,000.
Yeah.
And I literally saw him for Pro Bowl and Super Bowl last year every single day there. So you never know what
You
their
do the
betting
math.
size are.
Yeah. But
It's crazy.
Jontay's in a very unique situation. He is, although he is very rich, he is the poorest in his family, in the sense that, you know, what is that? Big bro's making 50 times what you're making. So you want to pay for dinner occasionally. And he was like, hey, you know what the easiest way to pay for dinner is? is if I fucking clank this 3 right off the backboard.
Take these unders. Yeah, for context, Michael Porter Jr. signed a 5-year, $179 million guaranteed contract. Right? So, like,
Nuts.
what happens also is, all right, let's do this.
All right.
You're Michael Porter. I'm not Jontay Porter, but I'm a family member.
Okay.
Right? We're at Thanksgiving. Everyone is praising you, like, congrats on your contract. You're an NBA
thank you.
champion.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
I mean, nothing's really changed. Fam, probably dap them up.
Dap them up.
And then
I'm
just
over
keep the
there.
main thing the main thing.
I'm eating like this, and I'm like,
hey, what's up with you? How's life been for you?
couldn't get 15 against the Lakers, though.
Man, shut your ass.
Why couldn't you get 15? And then that's what happens, bro. It's like, look, I can ask you to give me 25,000 because I need to invest in this company or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could be like, yo, bro, can you shoot like 4 of 12 tonight and maybe go under? Just have one of those bad games. Maybe check out early.
Yeah.
And then, dude,
No, that's it. I'm gonna do that. Put in all my unders.
I think
that's a good idea.
I wouldn't put it past family members and friends telling, or hinting to it, be like, yo, bro, you gonna get 30 tonight or what? You're plus 200 to get more than 30.
I mean,
that's when the fuckery starts.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, the crazy thing is Jontay Porter is 24 years old. He looks old as shit, by the way. He looks 30.
Bro, I would have guessed that he was older than the brother.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Easily. I was like 24 years old. So I mean, hey, he's still got life lessons to learn. This is a really big one. This is kind of like you are etched in history forever as a non-example, which you're in the history books. So you take it for what it's worth. But I tell my brother when I talk to him, or I ask him, how's the team feeling? Like who's feeling healthy, who's not feeling healthy. That's me. I would have asked him that question regardless if I'm betting the game or not, because I obviously want my brother's team to win. And I need to know, like, as a sports fan, I'm like, oh shit, if the running back's ankle isn't feeling the greatest,
Well,
I shouldn't feel bad, for yelling at him as he performs poorly, shit like that.
Yo, so that's not that is kind of what beat writers and reporters do. Sideline
100%.
reporters all the time.
Yes.
I'll give you a great story. 49ers are playing the Eagles in the NFC title game 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The game that was at Philly. One of my friends is a sideline reporter for the Niners. McCaffrey was hobbled going into that game. He tweets out. Now, he tweets it out to the public.
Right.
McCaffrey seems to be limping in pregame. He's going to give it a go because it's the NFC title game. It's not week 3 of the preseason. You know what I do? Unders on everything McCaffrey. You know what happens? He goes over on everything in the first quarter.
It's true. Yeah, there's no even your inside scoops.
Even your inside scoops sometimes in sports.
Yeah.
It doesn't really dictate
Poorly.
the outcome.
Yeah.
Now, can it have an influence? Sure. Like we know about the James Krause incident in MMA.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something similar to what happened here because on the day that this scandal broke out, where his Porter's over-unders that day on DraftKings were 5.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 0.5 3-pointers. His unders were the most heavily wagered bets that night, which means he told someone.
Right.
Which is what happened with the James Krause incident, where he had one of his fighters had a serious knee injury going into the fight. He told a Discord or a Slack, I forgot exactly what it was, pardon me for that, but he told a paid, basically like he had a Discord where people paid for his picks and all that, right? And he said, yo, fight's not going to go out the first round, take the unders, so-and-so is a little banged up, nobody knows this. The line goes from like the guy was originally an underdog anyway, his fighter.
Right.
He goes from like plus 150, just for the sake of the story, to like plus 400 during the walkouts. And it's like, bro, that's
Staggering.
that's significant, you know? And especially when you have that kind of information. Like, look, fighters go into fights all the time where they're banged up. Like, Rakic had staph at UFC 300. Pereira had a broken toe. So did Jamal Hill, like a broken foot or something. Like, these guys are going in there hobbled anyway. And if they could pass the weight cut and they feel comfortable and not pulling out from the fight, Conor had a broken foot against Chad Mendes. Like, it happens all the time. But when others are betting on it and the large sums of money, and when it's random,
Right.
that's when it gets fishy, bro, because you're a backup center, dude. Like, you're not.
Logically, the only way a bet like that is put in is in the movie Uncut Gems, where it's just trying to get lucky, dude.
Yeah.
And adding random pieces.
The only time you bet big money on like a backup player is if you take the risk. I've done this in the past where, oh, yo, Embiid is questionable tonight. It's a back-to-back. He might not play. I'm going to take over on Tobias Harris. I know Tobias Harris isn't a backup,
Right.
but just because, all right, Embiid's not going to be there. Someone got to clean up the boards, whatever it might be. I'll take Tobias. And then Embiid plays. Tobias is a non-factor.
Right.
Embiid drops 40. So that shit happens too. But it's sketchy, bro. It's sketchy. And again, it's always your own.
Yeah. And I do think he's the first of what is just going to continue to be many that get added to the one of us list of people that, you know, it doesn't matter if you're trying to go into other channels or not. Like, it's almost like you either need to have an old school bookie, which those are far and few between nowadays. It's easier to do on an app. Like, I'll ask you this. Do you think athletes go to bookies and they stay away from the books?
I mean, bro, the bookies are going to be the guys who leak it also. It's weird, man, because I feel like the sports books are the ones that protect the integrity of the sport. I've said this so many times. Like, in the past, the most famous scandal was Stephen Smith in Arizona State. It was the sports books that came out and said, like, bro, Arizona State was a borderline NCAA tournament team. Like, they were good in the Pac-10 at the time, or Pac-12,
Right.
whatever it was called, but you wasn't UNC in the early 90s. Or remember, back then, sports books didn't have every single game on a television, or you could go and ask, like, yo, I want Arizona State. The documentary on Netflix literally shows the guys that bet on it would watch the ticker at the sports book. Like, this is how far back it was. So when it's not a publicly televised game, it's not a national game, it's easier for you to corrupt it when people aren't watching, right?
Yeah.
But then what happens is it's also fishier. When all of a sudden, if I start betting 6-figure bets on fucking Hofstra basketball, you're a sports book. You're going to be like, yo, bro.
Yeah.
It's mad random. Like, what do you... We might have
That's
to...
what I'm saying.
We'll limit you. What they'll
Yeah.
do is they'll limit you at first and be like, we're not taking 100K. We'll take 20.
That's why I'm saying.
And let's see, is Nick right on this Hofstra bet? Like, what does he know? Happens all the time.
How could you put an 8-leg same game parlay down with $80 or $8,000 or $80,000? Like, that just doesn't make logical sense to me. But what does make sense to me, and it would be interesting to see if he got the money back, because I'm going to go on a little like anti what you just proved there.
Sure.
In saying that, bro, although sportsbooks may hold up the integrity and do their due diligence in trying to find these players, like, how about all the times where the sportsbook gets one over on us? For example, all the people that bet the Tyson Jake Paul card are now SOL, right? They're probably going to get their money back in credits on the website, but you got to think about the timing of all that. And I can't help but think that the sportsbooks knew the rules would be made in a month and a half. Let's put out all the lines now. Let's get money into our ecosystem so that way we can recoup any losses for March Madness. So at the same time that sportsbooks are trying to find these players, you have to understand them for what they are. They're crooked. They make their own rules. Like, yeah, that dude's parlay should have paid out 1.1 million. They didn't pay him out shit, and they probably kept the 80,000. I would
like
imagine
a punishment.
as I would imagine.
Yeah. You tried to pull a fast one on us. Now you ain't getting nothing back.
Correct. So that's why if I was an athlete, I would have to examine possibly going through a bookie. Because the bookies are the only people that are going to take the action at the level that matches your NBA salary.
I'm glad that you brought up the NBA salary because this is another reason why it's so sad. Dude was probably just going to ride the bench for a decade.
And make 20 million.
The veterans minimum, cheap plug, in the NBA is $2.7 million a year. It's like, bro, what, you got to practice hard?
Yeah.
And what, 7 games a year you might play 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Pretty good gig.
Travel around.
You're still
the
a
country.
professional athlete. You still could get any,
5-star hotels, going out to
5-star women.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm in the league. Bro, I used to know this girl who was a smoke show. Dated a 6-string wide receiver on the Baltimore Ravens. It's a pro athlete.
Yeah.
There's levels. It's the 1% of 1%.
True. You're either a pro athlete or you're very funny.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 ways you're pulling
Yeah.
smoke shows.
Yeah. So sad for Jontay Porter, excuse me. Confirmed one of us.
And
Yeah.
now, I mean, what do? Your brother's going to end up being an NBA. Was he an all-star this past year? Or he was an all-star last year?
I don't believe so.
Huh.
Let's see.
Was Michael Porter Jr. an all-star?
Yeah, Isaiah's like, there's no way. I would agree with Isaiah. Nah, he's
He
just an
starts.
NBA champion, bro. Yeah, but like
Yeah. He starts on an NBA championship.
15 points a year he's averaging. 6 rebounds. He's on a team that's going to probably go back-to-back, at least in my opinion. Shit, the cover art of the podcast is no one's beating the Nuggets.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let us know what you guys think about Jontay Porter. I know we spent a lot of time on this topic, but it was something we covered a couple of weeks ago, so we did want to bring it to light once again. All right, George, we have a sponsor, new sponsor of the show.
What?
Brand new sponsor as we pull up the ad right now. And the sponsor
Is
Unified Healing.
perfect.
Unified Healing. Shout out to the sponsor. Thank you for supporting the show. Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm going to sound like an old head now. Proper recovery for top-notch performances. You know I'm a martial artist.
Yes, you are.
I'm also a stud athlete.
I've been told
Yeah.
by you.
You've seen me throw a football.
I have seen that.
Spiral.
You could tell a lot by the way a man throws a football.
Yeah.
You had a father. That's one.
I did, but he didn't teach me how to throw a football.
Well,
My dad is like off the boat Greek. Does not. He started learning football because of me.
got you.
But
You know,
I see what you're saying.
you had fun in PE.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean,
I could tell. You throw a tight spiral.
second team all city. You know what I'm saying? New York City. I could sling, bro. I know I don't look the part, but I also think. Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might be one of the more dangerous. People like me are the most dangerous martial artists.
Or is it the people that aren't depressed?
No,
Is that
I'm
what
not.
makes
I'm
you-
not depressed. What I'm saying is like I don't look the part.
Got it. You
I
don't
don't have-
look. Yeah.
I don't have cauliflower ear. All my teeth are intact. I headbutted one kid. I got 3 stitches, and I thought the world was ending.
You speak in full sentences.
Yeah, like I don't look the part, but I'm a trained killer, bro. Like I think that's scary because if you see my coaches, shouts to Jerry and Shane, the Shapiro brothers,
They are beat up.
they, crooked noses, cauliflower, scars, tatted up. You see those guys at a bar, you're like, I'm not fucking with them. I'm gonna fuck with this guy.
Right.
But this guy
Can put you out too.
could put you out too.
Right.
So that's why, like, the expectations when you see me, it's like, he's kind of a bitch. But really, slap one of these on and
And it's game over.
yeah. So do you think I'm people like me are more dangerous?
No, you're still not more dangerous than the other guy. I
Okay.
mean,
All right, we just trying to have a discussion.
maybe I've been telling you should schedule a fight. We should get you in the tournament.
Well, maybe with unified healing, my body will be in line.
You'll need to
throw it down.
You'll
Yeah,
need to.
Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by EES systems known as Energy Enhancement Systems. If you haven't heard of an EE system yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, fantastic word,
Yes.
and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in Las Vegas or in their hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. If you're interested in experiencing the EE system technology for yourself, go to Unified Healing/VETMIN, VETMIN, to learn more and find a center near you. It's Unified, UNIFYD, healing.com/VETMIN. No material or testimonials on Unified Healing websites are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE systems. Shout outs to Unified Healing. And while we're here, let's just bang out this Patreon. Patreon.com/veterans minimum. We are at 70 paid members. We still want to hit the century mark. Patreon.com/veterans minimum. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could see all the tiers that we have here. But big shout outs to Daniel Gibson, Mahul Patel, Abel Resin, Ben Kotzian, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Platees, Dylan Chadwick, Jerry Shapiro, Jordan Riley, Mike Stevens, Mike Wozniak, Thomas Robinson, and Nick Crummage. Thank you all for your contributions to the page, and thank you all for the support. For the month of April, we can get an ISO cam here. There we go. Shouts to Isaiah in the back. For the month of April, we're giving away a pair of Jordans. We're giving away a pair of Jordans. You must be in the $10 tier or higher for the month of April, and they're going to be good J's. And what I mean by good J's is if Mike didn't wear them, you don't want them. So they're going to be retros. We'll pick something out of a hat. We'll have George pick out of the hat a pair of Jordans for the month of April. And it's like it's in the Bible.
Electric.
It's in the Bible. Like if Michael Jordan didn't wear them, you don't want them.
I've heard you say this before, and I have seen nothing but J's that Michael would not have worn.
Yeah.
Since you said that.
And don't you judge them?
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, dude, what is on your feet, bro?
I used to see it a lot when I was teaching.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then I had to be like the
I feel like-
explainer to the kids, like, hey,
You don't want, you need,
listen, I know mom got you these.
you got to toss them.
You got a you got to start doing your laundry.
Yeah, you need
you know?
like a pair of 10s.
Pick up some dog shit, and maybe she'll get you some 10s
Yeah.
and not these flight
Yeah.
nightmares.
Yeah.
Like literally flight nightmares.
the flight ones. It's like, no, you don't want those, bro. You want retro. All right. Before we talk about the playoffs, the matches that we do know, George. Golden State,
Yeah.
the big three. It comes to an end. Klay Thompson had 0 points in the closeout game, in the play-in game, I should say, against the Kings. They're officially out of the playoffs. And my question to you is it a wrap? Is it a wrap for the big three as we know it in Golden State? They're the sixth most wins amongst big three trios in NBA history. They've won 4 championships. They had a record-setting season where they won 73 rings. You can make a strong case that 2 of the titles that they lost, they could have definitely won had it not been for the suspension with Draymond on the LeBron incident. And then if Durant doesn't get hurt when he got hurt, you never know how those series. But then again, there were other series where like Kyrie and Kevin Love didn't play the first time that the Cavs played them. So
For
like,
sure.
I feel like 4 is exactly what they should have had, right? Steph Curry, over the age of 35 now. Clay, mid-30s. He's a free agent after this. And the lasting image we see is he has 0 points in a big game.
Yeah.
Do you think it's over?
Yeah, it is. It is. I felt like Steph Curry, you know, he's going to be one of those players that'll go down in history as, you know, being able to stick it out in one location. I do think he retires a Warrior. I do think, though, that they replace a good deal of all the pieces around him, and it's a complete rebuild mode. I mean, when you think about the Warriors before this run happened and how they were playing at, I'll say it, shitty Oracle Arena beforehand, right across the street from the Raiders, and now they get their own new stadium, you know, and they got to do all that by winning championships. And when you think about what a successful franchise does, think about how many Warriors fans we saw not only start in the last 10 years, but like globally. I think the Warriors might be the most liked team globally, even more than the Lakers, just because Steph stayed on one team the entire time. But it is over. There's no way that they can win with the roster that they have set in place now. And now the expectations are, you know, championship or bust. And that's the same boat that LeBron's in, really, too. And I don't want to go on a tangent about them. I know we're going to touch on their series a little bit later. But it's over, Nick. And it sucks that it's over when Steph Curry, dare I say, is playing some of the best basketball. He's the most healthy that he's been at this point in time in the season in a long time. You know, I was really in my head thinking that they were poised for a run. I told you a couple of weeks back how much I enjoy watching Kings basketball. And when they were playing in the playing game yesterday, I was like, these are 2 teams that truthfully I can see making the Western Conference Finals. Like, I think they could have, you know, competed and made a push. Just because OKC at that 1 seed, they're young.
Yeah.
You know? And it would have been very interesting to see the passing of the guard if the Warriors lined up with OKC. It's never going to happen. But Clay's done. We're not going to get any more of those videos of him pulling up to the game on the boat, which, I mean, how sick is that? You remember he would wear the little captain's hat?
Yeah.
No more of that. No more driving into Sausalito Bay. It's over.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. And, you know, I heard a couple people say that they would want to pay him as like a tribute and a send-off. And to me, I think that's a big problem with American sports. We oftentimes, it doesn't happen in Europe. And Jurgen Klinsmann coached the U.S. men's national team many, many years ago, but he's an iconic player for Germany. He coached them also. And one thing he said was, and he got a lot of heat for it because he attacked 2 very like polarizing players in Dirk Nowitzki and Kobe at the time, saying these guys, the contracts that they got their last 2 years, it destroyed the franchise because they were not $20 million players. And he was right. But it was the same thing in baseball with like Derek Jeter. Dude, you can't let Jeter fucking leave. Like, what the hell? Look at how many people, look at what the value of your franchise became. And that is a big mistake. If the Warriors were to keep Clay and give him, you know, 3 for 90 or 4 for 110, it's like,
And
dude,
you know it would be something stupid like that too.
For the past, it's like, bro, we've paid you for at the time. I think a contract should be future evaluations.
Yeah, your projections.
Exactly. I think you are a player that is worth $40 million over the next 5 seasons. Just in general, any player. That's why Mahomes got $500 million.
Yeah.
Because they're like, bro,
Believe it or not, we're saving a lot here.
Yeah. Giving you $500 million is going to be beneficial for us 5 years from now.
Promise.
Yeah. So I don't think you do that. I don't think he's that kind of player now. I think he could still be a great player. Now, if he wants to be like, yo, you know what, man, I'll just come off the bench. I'll take 4 for 70. I want to stay in Golden State because he said I want to stay in Golden State. And look, he might still return. But I don't think if you're the organization, you could give him that kind of money because it's just gonna handicap your team.
Yeah.
You can only afford to pay so many players.
And when you're not the best player, you're not going to get paid,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
Nah, you're definitely not, man. And look, you said something before about how they're a bigger, like the value of the franchise, and there might be
exponentially.
It grew. So remember in the past, I would talk about how some athletes are underpaid,
Mhm.
and even the athletes that are making top level money in their league are still underpaid. Golden State in 2008, the year before Curry got there. Do you know what they were worth per sport track?
They were worth 400 million. No. It's
Dude, very close.
yeah.
Very close.
Okay, so like 398 million.
315.
Okay.
In 2009, his rookie year, right?
Mm-hmm.
A group led by Joe Lacob bought the Warriors in 2010 for $450 million. Do you know what they're worth now? They're a top 3 Forbes franchise on the planet.
Ah, damn, man. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about, Nick. But I mean, it's obvious. It's in your face.
Right.
They got to be worth, if you're in that category, they're worth $1 billion.
8.2 billion, the second most valuable sports franchise in the world. So when I say Steph Curry is underpaid,
Ooh, go in on it.
this is what I mean.
Damn, dude.
He is vastly underpaid. And this is a guy who in his career, well, his last contract was 4 for $215 million. And he signed, remember, Steph Curry had ankle issues
Yeah.
early on in his career. When they went on that run and he won MVPs and shit, he was on a 4-year, $44 million contract from 2013 to 2016.
Oh my God.
So that's why they went and got Iggy. They got Barbosa at the time, Livingston, David Lee they brought in. They were able to do that because he was like the 8th most expensive guy on the roster. Now, 2017 to 2021, he got 5 for 201, and then he signed 4 for 215. So off the top of my head, as I'm looking at this, he's made about $450 million from the Warriors in his career. And I'm saying that dude is underpaid because the value of the franchise went up 20%, like 20x.
Yeah.
Or say 500, like
Yeah, dude.
16x.
Yeah.
Right. And then the lasting impact of kids now that are in high school that are going to grow up to be Warriors fans. And then guess what? Their kids are going to be Warriors fans because dad loved the Warriors.
Right.
Like, why do you root for the teams you root for? It's a legacy thing.
Yeah.
Unless it's, like my kids probably, God willing, one day I have a bunch of little Knicks running around. They grow up in Vegas. Maybe they won't be Giants fans. They'll be down with the Raiders. That I understand because you move here. This is the city
For sure.
team. There'll be a basketball team here by then. Like, I get all that. But if we lived in New York, you're rooting for the Mets. You're rooting for the Knicks.
Yeah.
You're rooting for the Giants. You're going to suffer like I did. It's going to build character. It's going to fucking build your loyalty.
Right.
And it's an amazing characteristic to have.
Correct. But now the Warriors really, I mean, here's another thing that the Warriors dynasty had brought us. It brought us the ability to really commingle 2 true superstars. Like when KD went with Steph Curry,
Yeah.
it was really the first time in history that we had 1A and 1B combined. And so then it showed everybody that you can be a bandwagon fan. So now it's like It wasn't even a bad thing.
Mhm.
That now all of a sudden I'm a Warriors fan and I live in Topeka, Kansas. You know, like I'm in Missoula, Montana, and I'm shooting threes from Curry range. I'm a Warriors fan. But it was okay because you can now. That was a horrible analogy. I chose 2 states that literally don't have NBA teams, but you get what I'm saying.
No. I mean, the point remains, and I made that point too. I'm upset that you didn't say Idaho, who seems to be the punching bag for analogies like this.
Correct. I use Missoula, Montana.
That's a good one too.
Put an NBA team in Montana.
That's a good one too. Let's talk about the matchups that we haven't addressed before we wrap up this show.
Yeah.
In the West, we have a rematch of the Western Conference Finals from last year. The Nuggets against the Lakers. Nuggets are minus 310 to advance to the second round. Lakers are plus 250. Nuggets are a 7.5 point favorite to win game 1. They are also minus 130 to win the series by 1.5 games. So in NBA playoffs, one way that you can make money on big favorites, if you don't want to bet a minus 310, you could bet a minus 130 that they win in 5 or 6 games.
Right.
I just think it's cool that the Lakers got in, but Jokic just owns Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
It's been bad the last couple of years. They also have their number too. Since the bubble, they have their number. And look, they swept them last year and rather comfortably too. I think only one game was competitive. And look, man, this is what I wanted to tell you before. The heat that the Nuggets get from national media, in the sense of when you go back to last year around this time, Nuggets were clearly the best team, but so many people didn't see them. They went 16-4, I believe it was, in the playoffs. They steamrolled everybody. But the conversation, especially when they got to the finals, was, it's not a big market. It's not a big market. Well, I just told you in the last segment about the value of the Warriors. Bro, no one cared about the Warriors like they do now in 2010. If you were to tell people like, bro, they're going to go to 4 straight finals, they'd be like, get out of here. That shit. That lowest ratings ever. What happened? Highest ratings ever. Them and LeBron going at it. So what's to say that we're not in the middle of something epic with the Denver Nuggets? It's been my take all these years, because when Jokic first won the MVP, people were like, we haven't seen Denver a lot. Like last year, people
on TV, they weren't on.
Yeah, last year, people were blown away at like how good they were. And it's like, bro, they've had the same team for like 4 or 5 years now. And my argument is, look, they lose in the bubble in the Western Conference Finals. They lose to the Lakers, right?
But
and
Murray
then,
was out.
And then Murray gets hurt the next year.
Gotcha.
Gets hurt the next year, blows out his ACL, right? And then the following season, you had the issues that sidelined Michael Porter. So you had Porter and you had, what's his name? Murray out, right? And then Jokic wins MVP again. And then last year, they go on to win their first title. And it's like, bro, what if Murray doesn't get hurt that first year? And even if he does get hurt, right?
Right.
Say it was, he's out for the playoffs, but he'll be back next season. And I know woulda, coulda, shoulda, injuries are part of the game. I get that. But what I'm saying is the Nuggets, we could be looking at something that after this year, they go back to back, which I think, like the cover art of the episode is, no one's beating the Nuggets. And I still feel that way, despite how deep and how loaded the West is. What's to say, bro, that around this time next year, they're going for a three-peat? Or even if they lose next year, 2 years from now, they keep the same core.
Yeah.
And they've won 3 of the last 4 titles. And then all of a sudden, Denver's back in the finals, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it gives me Patriots vibes. It gives me, we are just
good analogy.
Under the radar.
Bro, the Chiefs, dude.
Yeah,
the Chiefs are always like cool and popular, and they had some fun fantasy players, but they were never 8 primetime games a year. But you get that superstar and you become successful. All of a sudden, you're the Patriots. You're the Chiefs.
Yep.
You're the Spurs. Like these random ass cities that are not New York, Miami, and Los Angeles and flashy and fun. They become household names. And that's what I'm saying about the Nuggets.
There is, to the point of what people might think about it being a small market, certainly isn't a small market. Denver does rather well for itself, and when sports teams do well, everybody around the country knows. However, it was the same exact conversation I had with you last year, and then it's a star problem. Jamal Murray does not have that superstar swagger. Jokic does not have that swagger. Dare I say, Michael Porter Jr. probably is their most, I would say, in-your-face type of player that plays basketball like everybody should know who his name is. That doesn't sell, though, like how Steph Curry put people on and saying that and doing the shimmy and all that shit. Like, if the Nuggets are going to reach the levels that we feel about the Warriors, it can't be done through just championships alone. You need to add to the story and the sustenance. Another analogy I'll give you right now in golf, Scotty Scheffler, who is won 2 out of the last 3 Masters. He's won well over 20 tournaments, but nobody's tuning into golf. You know why? Because he's boring as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And some people need to realize that you are just as much an entertainer as you are an athlete. And it translates. Like, that's the one thing that AAU basketball can't teach you when you're a kid is how to be a superstar. But that is damn well a part of what you need to do if you're going to make a franchise known. And, you know, I think Denver could go have a three-peat and still they won't be in the conversation of what the Warriors were able to do. Truly.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because, like, you know, Jokic is European, Jamal Murray is Canadian. I wonder if that plays into it. If, like, you know, they're not American stars. Like, they play in America, but they're not,
Yeah.
you know.
And he does have his moments. Jokic, if I'm not mistaken, was the one that pushed homeboy in the back. Or do I have that flip-flopped?
No, you're right. The Morris
He
twins
went
in
and
Miami.
just like lit up.
Yeah.
Was it Markieff? One of the two.
Yeah.
From behind. Hey, yo.
Yep.
But that being said, he does have that fire in him. We just got to see it more often, dude. Like, I don't know. You have to make us feel your presence as you're dominating people. And maybe you do that in post-game press conferences. Like, you might not be a player that does it physically on the court, but in a post-game press conference at some point in time, Jokic has got to be like, there's nobody better than me. And you guys keep giving this award to people that aren't deserving. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove it to you guys that I am the greatest.
Yeah. I'm gonna win the one that matters. And
Yeah.
that seems to be the case. And look, man.
Did they sweep the Lakers?
I'll tell you this. My favorite bet is them to cover the -1.5 at -130. I think sweep, dude. Like, everything we've seen, Jokic averaged a triple-double against Davis last year in the playoffs.
Bro, he takes him to school, dude.
Every time, right? And
Crazy.
then I think the Lakers lack depth that they could rely on. And if you remember last year coming into the playoffs, the Nuggets were kind of sluggish, kind of going through the motions. Well, this year they got hot towards the end. They come in as one of the hottest teams, and I think it's just going to continue. And I think they put them. My official pick is they put them away in 5. I think the Lakers win at least 1 at home.
Right.
And look, to correct something I said before, I said that they were blowouts last year, but that wasn't the case. The largest margin of victory in that series was just 8 points. But when I remember that series, all those games were like in control for Denver.
Right.
So, like, it's one of those where the scoreboard is closer than the game indicated.
Yeah.
You know, when you hear those analogies to
Of
describe a
course.
game, that's how I think. So, like, for me, it sucks because I'm a big LeBron fan, and it'd be great if they could get by this series, but I don't think so, man. I just think Denver is really, really good. They've been able to replace players like Bruce Brown, and they're getting that from like Braun, and I just think they trust each other, bro, and they know how to play.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to play with one another because they've been playing for so long. And also shout out Mike Malone from Queens. Got to always rep for the 718. I got the Lakers losing in 5.
All right. I'm sprinkling the sweep. It's got to be at plus money somewhere. Plus 120. Like, this might be the lowest plus money odds that you're going to get on any sweep in a series. Yeah. Because I think every other series is going to be rather compelling. I really do. Because think about in the East, I think the Heat will obviously beat whoever comes out of this Hawks versus Bulls game. And then they're going to get, the Celtics first round. And the Celtics kryptonite is Jimmy Buckets. That's not going to be crazy big money for the Celtics to sweep. I do think the Lakers are the most outmatched team. And
plus 500 for them to sweep.
No way.
Yeah, and then for them to win in 5 plus 285. Denver, that is. Shit, I think I'm going to bet both of them.
I was about to say, you probably should.
I'm going to bet both.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm going to sprinkle some money on that 5-1 there.
Yeah.
It'll be tight in LA, one of the games, but
outside of that, yeah. It's just too much, man. It's just too much. All right, let's talk about the Knicks. The Knicks end the year as the 2 seed. I watched more and more of them, like after All-Star. And Jalen Brunson has just been like, bro, I feel like Jalen Brunson could go anywhere in the city. And like, if anyone tries to do anything to him, like any harm, he don't need security.
New York's protecting him.
Like, yeah, he's gonna be fine.
Damn.
Like right now, bro, dude, if you could be a star in New York, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you win in New York, it's great. When you're the star of the Knicks and they're good, bro. Like I posted something the other day, man, and I've been saying this for years. And at first people were like, yo, you're a homer. But then you see these videos when they beat a team in the regular season and like they flood the streets.
Yeah.
You have no idea what would happen if the Knicks ever win a championship. Like the city would burn down.
Deadass.
It would be fucking bananas. They would go crazy. And
it's
they would
so
like
tight around MSG too, dude. I mean, after being there, like in Staples Center is a good example of like there was riots after they beat the Celtics in 2010, right? And they were flipping cars over in the streets. Like there was room to do that in Los Angeles. In New York, there's no room to do that. That's why I'm just saying, like, it would get wild. But when you say you could burn the whole city down, I mean, shit.
Yo,
It's a very flammable city. New York City is very flammable.
So here's the thing, man, about New York, right? And especially with the Knicks. All disrespect, you know how people say no disrespect? Yeah. All disrespect to the Brooklyn Nets. You're not New York, bro. Like, you're a non-factor in New York. You're a big factor in national media because you had gotten Harden, Kyrie, and you got the big three way back in the day with like Paul Pierce and Garnett. And then like, you had Durant too. Like, but no one cared about you in New York. They don't because they're from Jersey. Right. And they've been there a decade plus, but like no one cares. The thing that's unique about the Knicks is that they're legitimately New York's team where everybody that's a basketball fan in New York, they grew up rooting for the Knicks. Whereas I'm a Giants fan. Half my friends are Jet fans. I'm a Mets fan. My entire family outside of my uncle, they're Yankee fans. Same thing with my friends. Hockey, you have the Islanders and you have the Rangers. So there's always half the city is split. But now with basketball, bro, with basketball, it was always down with the Knicks.
That's nuts. So all of New York would, the entire
Look, you had
city.
some people like my buddy Josh from back home. Shouts to Josh. He's a Pistons fan, right? I have another friend who's a Lakers fan, right? But that's like legacy and their fathers were fans. I mean, Josh just loved the bad boy Pistons. And then he loved the Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups, like that era.
04.
So he just stayed down with the Pistons, right? But, my other friend's a Bulls fan. But for the most part, everyone roots for the Knicks. New York is a very transplant city. You have a lot of people that come in and from all over the country. So, bro, the majority, it's like, the biggest fan base would be the Knicks. And it's, excuse me, it's crazy that they have the 9th highest odds to win the title, despite being the 2 seed. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the team really plays well together. And sometimes that matters a lot, like we were talking about with the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing the 76ers. You have the 2 All-Stars in the backcourt playing against one another. Maxey and Brunson both had monster seasons. But with the injury concerns with Embiid, he looks good one game, then he gets hobbled. Yeah. I'm leaning towards the Knicks, man. I think the Knicks could go on a run to the conference finals.
Yeah. nightmare situation for the Sixers to catch them right as they're catching them. And yeah, there's a huge part of me after watching the way Embiid played today that just tells me everything I need to know. Like how some players, they're getting the shot at the end. He in the game today had that same little fucking back down post move layup opportunity that he fucked up once again in a big moment. And to beat them 4 times, bro, like that's the beauty of the NBA. I mean, it shows the true character of whether or not a team is truly better than you. I love the 7-game series for that exact fact, because all it will take is for Joel Embiid to have one bad game, and then you already know the media will be up his ass. And I can only imagine what New York is going to do to him. Like, can you imagine the things that are going to be said to Joel Embiid game 1?
I do think we need to be a little polite to him, though, because he might be a future Knick. There's a lot of ties to New York, so hopefully they don't spit on him like they did to Trae Young, and that's a little uncalled for.
God.
That was wild. That was fucking wild. And there's still like F Trae Young chants that randomly appear at MSG, even when they're playing like the Hornets. Like it's just crazy. But yeah, one thing that's important, right? And I talk about this all the time when it comes to NBA playoff betting. Nowadays, the game has changed so much where guys aren't playing in the regular season. And what happens is you'll look at something like this. The Knicks went 3-1 against the Sixers during the regular season. However, 3 of those games came without Embiid. The Knicks won 2 of them. The one game Embiid did play against the Knicks, Philly got shellacked, though, 128-92. So, like, it's weird. You gotta do your research on, well, this team went 4-0 against this team. But yeah, how many guys were playing?
Right.
Like if the Lakers went 4-0 against the Nuggets this year, you'd be like, oh shit, maybe that plus 265 is interesting. But then you look, Jokic and Murray decided not to play all 4 games. You'd be like, oh, that's
Makes
why
sense.
they went 4-0. So it's very important when you're betting the series to understand that. I think the Sixers, though, you gotta give them credit, man. They've won 9 straight games heading into this. They're hot right now. But I think if Embiid isn't 100%, the Knicks have some size that they could throw at him, and I think the Knicks are going to get it done. This series is a pick 'em, minus 115 either way. I'm leaning towards the Knicks, man. The Garden, when the Knicks are good, the Garden is a very, very tough place to play. It's one of the few true home court advantages.
Yeah.
And selfishly, I'm hoping Miami ends up winning the game. Atlanta and Chicago is playing right now. I hope Miami could be the 8th seed because they just have Boston's number last couple of years. I know you're a Celtics fan, so you know all about that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping like path to victory, as I talk about often. The path. I'm hoping that it's Miami and Boston. To even if they beat the Heat, the Celtics do. It's like a 7-game bar fight.
Yeah, I know. I'm not looking forward to it.
You
Dude.
come out of that a little banged up,
I'm not looking forward to it. But as far as this series is concerned, isn't it crazy that the 76ers have had to experience, like, you build your entire roster around one play style, which is Joel Embiid is going to be our superstar. And then right at the biggest moment you need him, it crumbles. Because you look at their roster, they're talented enough to where if their mindset was different at the beginning of the year and they framed up their team differently, I would feel way different about this matchup. And I think a lot of us would. And yeah, it's a little too late for the Sixers to find that health. I love the story post that you made today with the videos that NYC makes in the streets. I wanted to be a part of one last year when I was at the Sixer, at the Knicks Heat game 4, and the Knicks won, and I couldn't find him. But it's just a great time, dude. I want to see the Knicks succeed. If the Knicks beat the Celtics, I mean, here's the question I wanted to ask: how many people are going to be taking a train up from Philly to New York?
Oh, a ton. It's a very popular trip. You get on Amtrak. It could take
Like
you
an
up.
hour?
I wouldn't know the answer to that. I've never done that trip.
For
but
sure.
I've done it to DC, which is also very popular, and it's about 3 hours with the train, maybe less. But it's
Got you.
it's a very popular route that people will take.
Yeah, because I just always wondered like how close in proximity it is. Like if they're going to get a lot.
It's definitely drivable,
Got it.
and it's like it's like 3-4 hours, I would say, maybe less.
For sure.
It's around that, yeah.
All right.
Let us know what you guys think. We're obviously rooting for the Knicks and the Mavericks because of financial reasons.
Mm.
That'd be really interesting. But as far as I go, at Nick Day is 10 as you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum. We're at Veterans Minimum. Thank you for listening to this show. Thank you for the continued support. Watch us on YouTube if you aren't already. Like, share, subscribe. All the content that you see, it goes a long way to building the show. George, where can they find you?
At Mr. George Carmona is where you can find me on Instagram. Give it a follow. And that's all I got for you today.
We'll catch you guys next time.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course, be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.